Good day, Tamers. Welcome to episode 4 of Good Card, Bad Card, Sneaky Sneaky. I'm joined today by Mr. Willie B. Reeplay, and as you can tell by the no tangent in this episode, it's a card that doesn't make me want to die inside. So, Mr. Reeplay, would you like to introduce this card this week?
Oh, yes, thank you for having me yet again. It's been fun recording these already. So, Heaven's Judgment, it is a card that's come up a lot since Tricolour became a thing in the game with BT16 and Magnamon. And since then, there's been a lot of discussion on should it be banned, should it be limited. I don't actually know if anyone's been saying it should be banned, but it's limited I've seen a lot of. And this is one of the cases where I actually disagree. I am aware that the card can be very strong, potentially removing 4 different Digimon, doing 24k spread among them, or you can get with a big thing, a little thing. It's a very powerful option card. It does a lot of work when it's played. But I don't want it hit because I actually think it should be the standard that big removal option cards are. One of the things that I've realized is we've had a lot of power increase for option cards. Protoforms come out, which is an option, even though it's not used as one. The trainings have come out, memory boosts. And but option cards have not changed much. Like we got Coitus Breath as a 7 cost in the first blue starter deck, and then we got Fumon Blast in BT11 or whenever it came out. It was one of the Galgamon sets, and it's an 8 cost, but it gains you memory back for every card in the hand, so it effectively costs you less.
Every 4 cards.
Yeah, it's every 4. It's the same way
It
Galgamon
came
line works.
from BT13 because it's
R13, right?
burst mode's attack, I think.
But yes, like the option cards have not really improved throughout the game overall, but I think they should do. Option cards' big thing was you have Digimon that do a very powerful swing. Was like how the game effectively started. Like most cards could be summarized as I do big powerful swing when they came out, and then gradually they've changed. Sometimes you get a little bit of interaction with the opponent's board. Sometimes you might gain the memory when you digivolve, effectively making it cost 1 less. Things like that. But now pretty much every deck in the game deletes or does some kind of disruption to what the opponent does as they're digivolving. Whether it be it's a level 6 that deletes a level 5 or lower, or it deletes the opponent's lowest play cost. There is a lot of destruction or interaction with the opponent's board just with when digivolving effects in the game now. But options have stayed the same, and why would you run an option card that does something when your stack does it anyway by going into it? You would just want that Digimon to go into your stack instead. Now, obviously, you don't necessarily want to risk your stack, so that's why option cards could be argued are still useful. But I just don't think their powers actually progressed in the game in line with everything else. I'm not saying every option card should be able to kill a big Digimon and then a little thing, or every option card to be able to wipe an opponent's board. But I do think in general the power level of them has gone down a bit. Would Gaia Force be played if it costs 8 at the moment from start deck 1? Would it be played if it cost 5? I don't really think so. Like, there's a lot of room for improvement with the option cards in the game, and I think Heavens is more of a line that pure removal options, like if they had other utility, it'd be a bit different. But pure removal options, I think there's room for the game to get some stronger cards in that, and Heavens is just an outlier of what's currently here, but it's more the standard of what we should see to justify it being played in some form. Because you just don't see, like, you see it occasionally because you want the security bomb to be powerful, but if you draw that security bomb, like you just feel bad. You never get a chance to play it unless you're just desperate to answer something, and it's just I just keep repeating myself. But yeah, options can be stronger. I mean, for pure big cost removal options could be stronger anyway, and that's why I don't think it should be hit. I think it actually should be used as a reason to print a few more powerful cards in other colors.
Normally, I think everyone who actually knows this channel should know my opinion right now, that DP removal is the devil. But with Heaven's Judgment being the best green card in the game, I think it should stay.
That is true. It is also a green card,
It
easy
is
to
the
remember.
only good green card besides everyone's favourite
Yeah,
HPD.
I
But
do think that's part of its problem. People have the fact it's duo colored in who can use
in
it.
wording, yeah, it's one of the very few cards that just says like because of like the new memory boost, it's written in the text supposed to be in a color identity that if you have green instead of yellow, you can use this effect, making it a very good card for decks that naturally wouldn't otherwise. Like, for instance, let's say you're not going to do it in this deck, but you could do it in Imperial blue and green. Green is half your color identity. You can do it in Royal Base, half your color. Well, all of your color identity really is green. Oh, we ran out of ideas because there's only two green decks I can think of right now that are actually playing or I've seen much play. Insects technically can do it as well if they really want to. Obviously,
Yeah.
it doesn't work so well with insects as it does the other two decks because they're dual color, so you're always going to be doing an extra couple of pips of damage. Whereas um, everyone's favorite armor deck is also top heavy yellow.
Oh yeah, so
So
Magna can use it in a very funny setup. It can hit 6 different colors if you are running Ukomon in the deck as well, which is very
yeah,
funny
white is the
because you can
color
use
in this
Ukomon.
case.
Yes, you can use white as Ukomon for white, and then one of the V ones is red for some reason. So you can hit 6 of the 7 colors in the deck. You could hit all 10 if you had 10. You could hit all 7 if you have a Defx as well.
We've just
But
gone
that's if you
that
choose
deck
to
to
run
be
it.
fair.
You can run it in that deck, but the deck can run quite a few different level 7s.
It
So
can.
it's very funny in that regard. But that's something I didn't bring up. The fact is DP reduction is frustrating. Like all kinds of removal have different utilities. Like bouncing to hand with blue and bouncing to bottom of deck with green. One of their advantages is they get around on deletion effects, for an example. But yellow is frustrating because along with the Digivolve, they're the two kinds of removal that can stack. Like when a card says delete, when a red card says delete level 3 Digimon, oh, you don't have one? Okay, that's it. Whereas with yellow, if it says give something minus 2 KDP, that can delete most level 3 Digimon, but you can also then apply another minus 2k from another effect, and then another one. And now suddenly that you could apply 6k, and you can start removing some level 4s with that. Most level 4s, actually. So that's why DP reduction, I know, can be very frustrating. And the Digivolve, like Digivolve 1 turns their level 6 down to 5, and then you can turn it down to level 4 if you have another Digivolve 1. But it's not as commonly frustrated compared to DP removal is. And that is another factor of why people don't like the card, which I understand. And it's something I missed out when I was speaking before. But yeah, that's one of Yellow's issues with its form of removal. The fact it is one that can stack, but
It's a game
not
mechanic
quite.
more than anything else.
Yeah, it's one of the other topics for the. Oh, it's a different topic to speak about, but yeah, that's another reason why I think people want it to be hit. But it's also the only reason the card can exist in the way that it does. I mean, I say that Black has had cards that say up to 8 cost kind of effects, so you could delete a 3 cost level 3 and a 5 cost level 4 or something in some cases. Which I guess that kind of effect is very good into aces if
Yeah, that's generally what
thinking
it is
about
these
it.
days. It's a case of like a lot of those cards that seem really bad are actually good into aces specifically because they're 4 cost or 7 cost. Things like Kongu was basically being spoken about in sort of like the shadowy bits of the black deck player base because they've been saying, hey, a lot of aces are 7 cost and they can't swing, so you can always just
Yeah,
throw one down. Then
yeah, it's
obviously you look
true.
at like the new Zafari that comes out. It's an 8 cost ace. You piece of shit, ruining
The
that
counter Kongu, no,
ruining that
it's over.
goddamn rule.
The Kongu stocks, they're gone.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there were some gold ones
But
out
yeah,
there somewhere.
that is another factor as why Heavens is a very frustrating card to be played. But again, that's a bit of a different topic on which kind of mover is stronger because a lot have different benefit. A lot have different benefits to others, and some are definitely worse playing to
I
than
would say
others.
that to me personally, DP removal is a lot more punishing because it's generally the Digimon is dead and like he's got done for. Whereas with DP
Yeah,
removal, most of the DP removal is sorry, well, a lot of the Digivolve itself is just you're basically reducing its power level, but you're not normally getting rid of the card
yeah.
afterwards.
Normally, a card is left at the end of it, but if you have a level 6 in play, that's like I'm a big thing. Let me think of the card as a quick example. If I'm a Hexablow and I'm stopping your stuff attacking because you have less sources than mine, haha, you can't hit me. Oh, you digivolve me by 1. Well, the card's basically gone now. Because its effect's no longer active. Like it's still a form of removal, even if it leaves something behind. And to be fair as well, Black tends to have some kind of low cost deletion to finish something off as well. But again, different topic, but because this is meant to be about Heaven's Judgment.
Heaven's Judgment, good card. Should be played at 5. There you go.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Do
Most
not take
decks
that
don't
by the way. Do not listen to this statement.
don't do that.
Yeah,
You
don't
you
cheat.
shouldn't play copies of 5 cards. You shouldn't have a fifth copy in security ever.
What do you think this is a BT5 Matashida? You don't play that at 5.
But yeah, my just to reiterate, my
6.
general consensus is options should be stronger. Like I think just flat deletion effects and hand bouncing effects could be a lot cheaper than they are
I don't
in the
mind
game.
if they were stronger but more expensive. In a world where aces exist and you're
Oh
constantly getting
yeah,
things reduced, a 10 cost option card that just goes board wipe.
yeah.
I don't mind that so much. As long as it's like
I
within
say
reason. Like a
the
red card that
existing
costs
effects
10
could
that
be
says you can reduce. No, try again. A red option card that costs 10 but it says on deletion when deleting things up to like 20,000 DP. So that way, if your opponent's playing a deck where it's just a ton of aces, you
Yeah,
go, all right, well, you're getting punished for that now.
yeah, and that's what I agree with. Like, I think option cards could be stronger. Like the current ones we have could be cheaper. Not Heavens. I think Heavens is
Seven's a
fine
good
mostly at
price.
7. I think it could cost 8. I think it's the kind of power level an 8 cost option could have.
I feel like at ace,
Um,
it's like weird to kind of like force it into a deck, whereas at 7, if you're generally killing one ace with it, which is what you are generally doing most of the time,
yeah,
it's a 4 cost, whereas having it to be a 5 cost is generally like, I don't know if I fancy it as much now, or if I just try and put another one of those, an actual security bomb in, which just goes solid for 15k. I might
yeah,
as well just kill you instead, because Wyvern's Breath is 8k, 8 cost, and at that point you're doing an extra 3k in
and that
security.
does minus 15k. Because the thing to remember is pretty much every deck now is duo color in some form. So Heavens, even in duo color deck, is effectively minus 18k,
Yeah, good.
which will kill most things in the game. Not many decks can go higher than that.
Think of all the Madoki Betamons you can kill. The answer is 3.
Oh my gosh, 3. Now I just have to deal with the fourth one.
That's the problem.
But
You can only kill 3 at 18k.
that's why the card's bad. Which one I'm talking about, you'll never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Heaven's an example of where like higher cost options should be, because I think I went to Guy Force before. I don't think you play Guy Force at 5 cost in the modern game. So like they could easily print a
I think the
red
issue mostly
card.
with Gaia Force is there's actually quite a lot of decks that have some form of like immunity
Oh yeah,
2 as well.
yeah,
That's the issue.
protection is also a thing in the game as well, which is another thing. A lot of decks have protection to deletion or bouncing, whereas not many cards have access to immunity to DP reduction.
Which is
But
also the good thing about, or sorry, the fair thing about Heaven's Judgment, which a lot of people don't scoff
yeah,
at it, is it's only for that turn. So even
that is
security,
true.
it's
It's
only
also
for
only
the
for the
turn.
turn.
So it's in the turn
Yeah, it's
security.
also
From a hand, it's from the turn. Where a lot of other digivolving minus DPs to the end of your opponent's turn,
yeah,
which in my
and this
opinion is too fucking long.
And this time you have not really touched on about Heavens as well. Its security effects only minus 12k, which will kill things at level 5 or less most of the time. It
It'll kill
doesn't
some
really
level
interact with
sixes
level
to be
6.
fair, because a lot of the red ones, for whatever reason, decided to get really like wimpy in terms of power level. We can hit
Really?
for 17 security attack, but we only got like 10 power.
Okay. I didn't actually realize that. I thought most level 6s were 13k plus nowadays,
I
but
think the average for most like non like jumpy uppies, what I'm thinking of
yeah.
here is more like a fighter mode is
Yeah.
like I want to say like Gallantmon and Jesmon and possibly things like Chad Daddy, who I
Yeah.
forgot his name
And
already. They're like 11 to 12k or 10k to 12k. Like a lot of
right.
the regular, or I suppose the utility level sixes are generally a lot weaker because their utility is so good. Whereas,
Okay.
like you said, like it feels like a lot of the big ones are like 13k plus. Like I think fighter mode's 13k plus. I think the top end for like, Galaxy is I think Levia might be 13k, or at least X is 13k or 15k. So there are. It does probably feel like very warping when you see a lot of these top decks where they do have like these very big, tough monsters just sitting up there. But a lot of the red ones, for whatever reason, got like power crept down
Okay.
because they were too powerful of not doing
Huh,
anything.
fair enough. But and Twin Balance Heavens one last time. The other thing we've not really mentioned is it's actually an option that is minus 6k if you have nothing in play. Like you need a
Yeah,
Digimon for the card to be effective, and that's often forgotten about. Like it's a dead draw in many cases. Not in many cases, but if your opponent's got a board set up and you're raising and you're trying to find your stack so you can like start to fight back, Evidence is not a great card to draw. Like
no,
it's a good card when you're ahead. It's not always a win more card, but it's a card that when you have an advantage you can push it further by doing so. But it has times where it's not helpful, and that's something Digimon doesn't have a lot of. Like obviously you can have a setup where you have loads of level 3s in hand, 5 and a 6, but no level 4 and you can't play. Like that can happen, but that's a part of the game itself where if you're missing your levels, you can't go to the stack. There's not many cards in the game that are just dead. Well, not dead because you can still play it and give minus 6k if you have the color to play it.
yeah. Under
But
the
there's
right
not
circumstances, it's like the best card in the game. But under like 70% of the
also
time, it's just okay.
yeah, and that's often forgotten about it. Like it's not a card that will always be helpful 100% of the time. It is a card that has situations where it's helpful. To an extreme more so than a lot of other cards, I would say. Like I can't think of many cards where aside from like missing your level stacks where you just can't play the game, I can't think of many cards where they're just not good if you just can't really. Well, they're not that they're not good, can't play it because you can play. You can give -6k still, but if you don't have anything, you can't use it.
Yeah, it's not as its benefits aren't well. The weaker you are, the benefits are obviously much weaker. Whereas a lot of other option cards, it's just a straight flat out pay the cost. It does a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, use the cost. Do a
Oh
thing.
yeah, that's true. You don't
Because
pay the cost, you use it.
if you may have known, you might not have known this. A lot of the newer cards, I need to figure out when this changed. Option cards now say use cost as instead of play cost.
Do they? I've not
They
actually
do.
checked that.
I noticed this at least in the new stuff in 2.5. I need to figure out how far back it
Oh
goes.
yes.
It might be in LM4 as well. But all my cards
Oh,
have been removed from my desk because my wife has been a very good lady and actually tied up my desk for me, even though she didn't have to.
yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
that's my polite way of saying she stole my shit. I don't know where they go.
The gemstone boost as far back as I've gone. What about BT16? I'm just going to check this at the end now. BT16 still says cost. Okay, that's a very subtle little change
It
that I
did
wasn't aware
change.
of.
They didn't say anything about that, so I wonder how long they were going to go and wonder how long we'd actually go.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It's a very random time change as well. You'd think they'd do that on like a new block set where
I'm
they often change
presuming
up
it's
race
got
codes.
something to do with the localization teams and when we change over to the unification. Going like, we need to have
Right.
a different word for when options played because too many people can see Kane. This has cost. I can play it, right?
It was EX7 slash the starter decks when it changed.
There you go then. So it's been 6 months and no one's really said anything.
Yeah, no, I had no idea. Like that's news to me. That's cool. Like that.
Yeah.
It's a good note to end it on.
I think it's because a lot of judges were like Philip going, like, it's not a cost. I don't care what it says.
Yep.
I know I've seen our favourite TO say that a few times. Too many. But so, yeah, I think we agree that good card, currently in a good place. If a lot more decks start becoming yellow secondary, tertiary, or green tertiary, then it might be a case of this card gets to be too strong too often, and it might be more of a case then we go actually probably banning as opposed to limiting would be the play. Although a one of drawing it in a 50 card deck, and if it's insecurity probably isn't the worst feeling in the world. But
I will bring that back to something. If it was a one-of as well, and I could bring this up in every discussion we do, if you know the opponent is running one of it and it wins them the game because you've got a level 6 and level 3 or something in play, and now they're gone, that would feel miserable to lose to. Like I know most decks already play it at 1 or 2 cost. I think most decks play it at 2 costs.
It's 2 costs.
Yeah, it's normally 2 of. But like if you know the opponent has one for certain because the card is limited, it would feel miserable to lose to that happening. It would feel so bad to be like, oh, you have it. Okay, like obviously most decks don't run more than like 2 removal cards anyway. Like Mirage decks tend to run 2 Forming Blaster each time, so they never ran many anyway. But
It's very hard to fit in a lot of removal if you're specifically playing a security control. To be fair, because it's just a deck that I need my pieces, otherwise the deck just won't run.
Yeah, it's very hard to fit them in. But there's always the knowledge that technically they could have been running 4 kind of thing, even if you don't know even if you know they're not actually doing that. But if you know it's a 1 for certain and it's definitely the only one they've got, and it loses you the game, I wouldn't be happy. Especially if they've not drawn much of their deck.
No, I don't think I've actually lost to Heaven's Judgment. I'm pretty sure I've been the arsehole who's like shotgun blasted it a few times, but I don't think I've ever lost to it. So maybe that's from my viewpoint.
You don't really play decks that use it, do you?
I do. Any green deck I play has it in.
I mean, yeah. Like if you wait.
I don't. Well,
Is there...
Magnet X is what I normally play recently, and that was obviously it's a yellow deck, so I've run it in there.
But you play the.
But as you said, like it's very easy to get 5+ colors in that deck anyway. So it's like, oh no, I have a blue, and a red, and a black, and a yellow, and a white. Oh, that just means your board's gone now.
Yeah, I've cut the Yukon for my version, but yeah, if you play, you can get the white as well.
But 2 of it just for like extra searchability for Tamers.
Yeah, but you could. Magnet X is like the outlier deck that can.
That cheats it more than the other deck, yeah. But any deck,
I would argue
any deck that's yellow can play it, especially if they're going into like 2 or 3 colors.
I'd argue Magnet X is a card that could actually. I'd say Magnet X is one of the cards I'm safest saying could be limited, and I'd be okay with it.
This is going for the last discussion. When we see the support in BT21, we will discuss then if the card is getting banned, because it probably will.
It's one of the cards that I'd say I'm happy seeing it limited because It's you forget about it, but there's another Magnet X in the game. It's
There is,
significantly
but it's
worse.
also terrible.
Like, because one of my things about limiting boss monsters is then it needs to be: is there an alternative to keep this deck still playable? Because I don't like when the deck is completely cut from the game.
But then you have to ask yourself, what is playable? Because is there still a boss monster? And then you have to put in brackets, yes. Isn't the same as, is there still a boss monster? Yes.
I mean, I know there is a difference, but you could still technically play Magnum on X, the deck, and just
You just
use
play the old
four.
version, which is just
Yeah,
Magnum on level 4, so you wouldn't bother with the top end then, because it's just not worth the hassle of those extra
uh,
bricks. Because they're not very good.
uh, I suppose not. I mean, it's not a bad card. What didn't help
I
is that
mean, what
when
I'd
it
rather
came
do
out,
personally is I'd rather, like, go into Mirage, for instance, and just say, fuck it, tax fraud.
yeah, but then you have to play a level 5
Which you do anyway, you
because
play the fish.
yeah, well, yes, you can play the fish in the deck as well, but you don't have to. Like one thing to Magna X is you can get him out on turn 2. You can just go first, hatch a Vmon, Digivolve into Magnamon, turn 2, raise it. It's Magna X now, and you can do that the old one.
Yeah, but
That
the
is
old one's
a
still terrible.
thing.
That's the point. If you have to put like quotations around a yes, it's not actually a good thing. Like for instance, you say, "Hey, we're going to limit the new fighter mode." Do they still have another fighter mode? Yes, it's also still fairly good.
I suppose, yeah, but I don't think the other one's like bad. It's
That's what I'm
just
saying. Like, oh, what do you mean the Magna X? The other Magna X is like a
I
very
don't.
defensive card that has no reason for living or being.
Yeah, but the thing that people forget is when it was out at the time there was only one Magnamon in the game. Since then we've had the starter deck one, BT13, and I think there was one other one, or have we
It's
only got three? I think it's only
BT8,
three.
BT13, starter deck,
Yeah,
Terriermon, Go Go Go.
yeah. So it's just those three. So like he never had a chance to be like in the same deck as the current Magna X because there was only one other Magnamon when he came out. So you still had to play around him
Well,
being a
you
thing you
weren't
did.
playing Magna though. Then you were playing Armor Rush
Yeah, you just played Armor Rush at the time. But my
because that
main
one can
point
just
was I
Digivolve
don't.
over any
Yeah,
level
yeah,
four
it's a
armor
tangent,
form. I
but
think it is.
yeah, I was more making the point that I don't like when the deck is completely gutted. In that,
Yeah, because
if someone wanted to play this deck, they can't anymore.
I mean, for
Like
instance, look at and it's kind of the other way around, but like look at Beelzemon, for instance. They took away its searcher, they took away how it played the game, and since then he
yeah,
was just like, you can't play the game anymore, not in a
yeah.
competitive setting.
Like it was very unfortunate that because in Beelzemon's case, the Immon happened to both be their searcher, but also have one of the most. Uh,
Amazing abilities for that
I,
deck, which I will say, hands up,
yeah,
is like, yeah, that's fine, but what they should have done is they should have got us a promo card that just said search your deck for Demon Lords
yeah,
or whatever.
they just need to print like another
Just a
searcher
searcher.
for the deck.
Just give us a searcher. Or when trashed, search your deck for X cards, which makes more sense in
Yeah,
the deck.
yeah, stuff like that. Like it was a shame. Like it had to go for what it was doing, but it's a shame
And
that
I agree with that.
the card they lost was everything.
Yeah, it was literally like that was your searcher, that was your engine, that was your power. We're going to take that away from you. You've been left with something that will kill you instead. A card that doesn't do anything for 5 turns, and the one from BT2 or BT3, which warps you into a Beelzemon, which is worse version than the one you got from the structure deck. So yeah, they basically just took away. At least in 2.5, we get the bloody on play throw down a Tamer card,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
will be doing every single turn one if I can. Do you have a Tamer? No, it's on the field now.
The classic.
You know I've got it. Just stare at you. What'd you pay 4 for? It's like, why didn't I pay 4 for? But as we're tangenting about why can't we play Armor Rush rather than Magna Force, I think it's the end of this episode. But no, I think we both agree. Very good card. Currently in a very stable situation because most decks are only 2 colours. As we are now going into the newer blocks, we are seeing obviously more top ends of 3
Very
colours.
random
And
tricolors.
this could be
Yeah.
becoming where we actually go, maybe we were wrong and maybe it will be limited or maybe it needs to be
I,
banned
I
because...
hard disagree. You think that? I hard disagree. I think the card's fine. They should print more options to a similar level
Well,
at
that's the
that
thing.
cost
If they
for
printed
it.
more options of the same kind of power level in retrospect, then I would be like, no, it's fine. But if it's the only card of that like power level, then you either need to bring it down or put everything else up.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, when it works in 2 colors and there's only 7 colors in the game, like, and if decks have 3 colors as their top end, like if most top ends become 3 cost, which is slowly happening, I mean, fairly high odds that every color will have access to it just because of that.
That's the thing. Like you gotta look at it as like everyone's. It's all fair now. Every deck can use it, or it's a case of like only like 2 decks can use it, and they've become very controlling decks that just win games because you never know when you get smacked in the face by a thunderbolt.
True.
So yeah, again, we both like the card. We both think it's good. I like it for it's a green card, and you can't take that away from me ever. And you like it because it's just a very interesting way of how they should do option cards, which again I agree with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Heaven's Judgment. I'm glad it got a foil printing. Now it needs a full
That's
art printing if we can get one of those.
the lovely art. We need like more alt arts of
Option
option
cards.
cards in general. Options don't get
Except
many
from
alt arts. I
Koki.
get
No,
why
no
because
more
they go
option cards
away.
from Koki, please. No cards from Koki at all, please. I don't want any more sexually innuendo cards, please.
Poor Koki. He's trying his best.
No, he's not. He's a bloody he's a Kuma. No more Kumin, please. What we got? What's he done? He's obviously done the Hydrosy and he's done the very lewd blinding ray. Has he done anything else?
I don't pay attention to arts for that long.
If Toonami wants to make me an altar of Heaven's Judgment, I'm sure it'd be the best thing in the world, and I'll be very thankful for the rest of my life. Not simping for Toonami, but if he wants to do it, I'd be very thankful. And then it'll be like Zeus like banging somebody. No, man, look. But yeah, that's the end of this 26-minute episode. So thank you for being here. Please don't sue me, Cookie. Just stop doing the loot stuff, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye from me.
And bye for me.
I will see you guys in the next one. Ta-ra.